Imagine waking up to find your country's democracy hanging by a thread. 1 minute, everything seems normal, and the next, your president declares martial law, trying to turn the nation into a dictatorship. This isn't some far-fetched plot from a political thriller. This actually happened in South Korea. In just 6 hours, the country went from the brink of a constitutional collapse to an inspiring display of democratic resilience. Today, we're diving into the story of how President Yoon Suk-yeol's gamble for absolute power not only backfired, but left his political career in ruins. Late at night on December 3rd, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol made a shocking announcement. Martial law was being enacted. And not just any martial law. This was emergency martial law, the most extreme form, granting him nearly unlimited power. With this declaration, Yoon mobilized the military, banned political activities, and threatened the very fabric of South Korea's democracy. He claimed this drastic move was necessary to fight anti-state forces, which he accused of undermining the country. Specifically, Yoon targeted South Korea's opposition-controlled National Assembly, accusing lawmakers of corruption and even collusion with North Korea. He justified his actions by saying it was his duty to protect the Free Republic of Korea and vowed to eradicate these shameless anti-state forces. To him, this was about saving the nation. To everyone else, it was a blatant power grab. Let's rewind a bit to understand why this happened. Yoon Suk-yeol has been South Korea's president since 2022, but his time in office has been tumultuous. From the start, he struggled to win public support. His administration has been plagued by corruption scandals involving both himself and his wife, as well as accusations of inefficiency and failure to implement meaningful policies. By 2024, his approval ratings had plummeted to just 20%. That's right. Only 2 in 10 South Koreans supported him. For comparison, even Kim Jong-un probably has higher approval ratings in his own country. Yoon's relationship with the National Assembly wasn't any better. The Assembly was dominated by the opposition Democratic Party, which consistently blocked his initiatives. Recently, tensions reached a boiling point when the Democratic Party cut $2.9 billion from Yoon's proposed budget and launched investigations into his wife's alleged corruption. On top of that, they initiated impeachment proceedings against key government officials aligned with Yoon. It was clear, Yoon was cornered, and his political career was hanging by a thread. Declaring martial law was his Hail Mary, a desperate high-stakes gamble to silence his critics and consolidate power. Here's where it gets wild. Martial law in South Korea isn't just a legal technicality. It carries a heavy historical weight. The last time martial law was enacted was in 1980, during one of the darkest chapters in South Korea's history. A rogue general seized power, shut down the media, arrested political opponents, and turned the country into a dictatorship. Thousands of South Koreans protested, only to face brutal military crackdowns. Hundreds lost their lives in the Gwangju uprising, a massacre that remains etched in the nation's collective memory. So, when Yoon announced martial law in 2024, South Koreans knew exactly what was at stake. Yoon's plan was as bold as it was reckless. By declaring martial law at 10:30 p.m., he hoped to catch the opposition off guard. The military was immediately deployed to block access to the National Assembly, effectively preventing lawmakers from gathering to challenge his declaration. Yoon also appointed a military commander, Park Eun-soo, to enforce his orders. Park wasted no time, banning all political activities, silencing media outlets, and granting soldiers the authority to arrest anyone without a warrant. It was a textbook authoritarian takeover, at least that's what Yoon thought it would be. But Yoon underestimated 2 critical forces: the resilience of the South Korean people and the determination of the opposition Democratic Party. As news of martial law spread, protests erupted across the country. Despite freezing temperatures and a snowstorm, thousands of South Koreans took to the streets. Many older citizens who remembered the horrors of past martial law regimes felt a profound sense of déjà vu. They weren't just protesting a policy, they were fighting to protect their hard-won democracy. The opposition party also sprang into action. Lawmakers from the Democratic Party began live-streaming their efforts to defy Yoon's orders. One dramatic clip showed the party leader scaling a fence to reach the National Assembly, with protesters helping him over. The scene looked like something out of a movie, a powerful image of ordinary citizens and politicians united against tyranny. Inside the National Assembly, chaos unfolded. Lawmakers who managed to bypass military barricades began barricading themselves in the chamber. Desks, chairs, and even filing cabinets were piled against the doors to prevent soldiers from breaking in. Meanwhile, outside, protesters formed human chains to help more lawmakers enter the building. At one point, a viral clip captured a woman standing defiantly in front of soldiers, holding a rifle. This wasn't just political theater, it was a full-blown battle for democracy. Against all odds, 190 lawmakers, including some from Yoon's own party, managed to gather in the National Assembly and vote to nullify the martial law order. The vote was unanimous, 190-0. Yoon had no choice but to comply. Under South Korea's constitution, the National Assembly has the authority to override martial law, and any refusal by the president would constitute treason. 6 hours after declaring martial law, Yoon addressed the nation once again, this time to announce that he was lifting it. Soldiers were ordered to withdraw, and the immediate crisis was averted. But for Yoon, the damage was done. In the hours and days that followed, Yoon's already fragile presidency collapsed. Calls for his resignation grew louder, and the Democratic Party began drafting impeachment proceedings. Senior aides and officials in Yoon's administration started resigning en masse, abandoning a sinking ship. Yoon had gambled everything on his martial law declaration, and he'd lost spectacularly. What was meant to be a show of strength ended up exposing his weaknesses for all to see. This incident will undoubtedly go down in history, not just as a failed power grab, but as a testament to the resilience of South Korea's democracy. It's a reminder that even in the face of authoritarianism, ordinary citizens can rise up and make a difference. The images from that night, lawmakers climbing fences, protesters forming human chains, and barricades inside the National Assembly, are now iconic symbols of defiance and unity. But the story doesn't end here. The fallout from Yoon's actions will continue to shape South Korea's political landscape for years to come. For now, though, one thing is clear. South Korea's democracy is stronger than one man's ambition. So, what do you think? Should Yoon step down, or is there any way he can salvage his presidency? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story like this.